Hello creators, it's Melissa from Melissa's Creations. I am bringing you a fantastic series of 6 videos that feature the Tropical Escape Suite. I am so excited about these products and I want to show you all of the different things that you can do. There's 5 projects I'll be showing you in this series that are cased from the brand new annual catalog. And there's one fun additional project that I created especially for you guys. So I hope you enjoy this series. Please be patient. They will be uploading rather slowly, maybe about a week or so between videos. But I really hope that you stay tuned because all of these samples are just fantastic. Stampin' Up! Does an amazing job of giving us inspiration through that annual catalog. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. Now, some of these cards aren't cased exactly with the same materials and supplies as they used in the samples in the catalog. So I had to get creative and give my own twist to a few of these projects. Here's the first one, and I am really excited. It is so gorgeous with that beautiful blushing bride and then the hints of shaded spruce and granny apple green, some of the brand new colors. Let's get into making this sample. So here are the pieces of paper I am using today. First up, we have a standard card base. This is Blushing Bride, 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. I have 2 pieces of Whisper white cardstock here. I have about 1/4 of a sheet so that I can stamp and cut out all of my ferns and flowers. So that's going to be for my stamping. And then I have a square here that measures 3.5 by 3.5. We're actually going to color this to be this seafoam green color. I have a scrap piece of shaded spruce cardstock. You just need a piece big enough to cut out a couple of those beautiful fern and palm embellishments. And I have 2 pieces of designer series paper from the Tropical Escape DSP pack. This piece measures approximately 2 3/4 by 5. Now it can vary, it doesn't have to be exactly that size, but what you're looking for is to cover a majority of the front left of your card. And of course it's double-sided. I love polka dots, so I'm really tempted to use this side, but I think that this card needs that pop of color behind it, so we're gonna go with that. I also have a piece of designer series paper from the same collection. This measures 7/8 by 4.5. And I haven't decided which side I'm going to use yet, so we'll just go along with it and see what we come up with. All right, we're gonna start with our stamping today. So I have my 1/4 sheet of Whisper white cardstock here, and we are going to pick out our stamps from the Tropical Chic Suite. Now remember, if you purchase these in a bundle, you will save 10%, and I highly recommend getting this bundle. I have not put it down since it arrived to my house, and I am a fan. I am a huge fan. So be sure that if this isn't on your list, you get it next, because all of the projects that we are going to be doing in this video series are just amazing. So let's grab out a couple of these stamps here. I'm using this palm, I'm using this fern, and I don't know what you call this guy, but he looks like a fan to me, so we're going to use that fan. And we're going to use this gorgeous little flower. And finally, we're going to use the sentiment here. We're going to grab all those pieces out. All right, I'm going to start by stamping this palm guy. And I'm going to stamp him in one of the new colors, Granny Apple Green. I am so excited about this green. It is beautiful. Now this is the new Style Classic Stampin' Pad, so if you haven't seen one yet or you haven't opened one yet, they do open differently from our traditional pads. So our old classic Stampin' Pad looks like this, and you would have to push it, flip it, and slide it. That's for the old style. With these new style pads, all you do is get your finger in the groove here, pull it, and slide it. So there's only 2 steps instead of 3, so it's not too bad. I really like this style. I love that they're stackable. There are a lot of great features about this style stamp pad. All right, so we're gonna stamp 2 of these, one in full ink and one second generation ink. So, and we're going to cut them out on the big shot. So you want to make sure you leave a little bit of room between them. Okay, now I'm going to stamp it again without re-inking, but I am going to huff on the block so that it re-moistens that ink that's already there. So now we have a dark and a light, and it looks gorgeous. So we're done with Granny Apple Green. So all you do to close it is pull it and then flip it and snap it. So 3 steps on closing, but the snap doesn't really count. We're going to use Shaded Spruce, and we're going to stamp one of our fans in full ink. And we're going to get our fern, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the palm. So we're going to do 1 full ink and 1 second generation ink. All right, now let's see. I don't think I left myself enough room for my flowers, but we'll see. We'll just take a peek here. So I have that really beautiful flower from that set, and we're going to stamp that in Blushing Bride. And I'm gonna do 2 full inks. Now on this sample, they're kind of tucked behind this a little too much, and I really want those to shine out. So I'm going to kind of readjust that in this sample. So it's gonna be tight. I don't think I left myself enough room. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Oh, I might. It's gonna be really close because I still have to cut it out. That's gonna be super close, you guys, but I think we can do it. I think we can make it. Okay, so while I have all of my inks and everything out in my blocks, I'm going to get my sentiment mounted up. And I don't trust that block. I just don't trust that it's going to be big enough. So I'm going to bring in this size instead. Okay, and my thin strip of designer series paper. I'm going to, I think I'm going to stamp on the pink side. We'll see how that looks. So I have my Memento in Tuxedo Black. We're going to use that to stamp the words. All right, wish me luck. We're going to stamp it off to the right and hope that it is centered well enough. Oh, I love it. Yes! Don't you love it when it works out the first time? There is 2 sides to a paper, but with designer series paper, it gets a little tricky. Okay, so we have all of our things stamped. Now we still need to do something with this beautiful soft sea foam. This color is so pretty and soft. So I'm going to move these out of the way for a moment. And now we have our soft sea foam along with that 3.5-inch square of Whisper White. I'm going to bring in a piece of scratch paper for this so I don't get my surface dirty. And I have a piece of our sponge. This is a very small sliver. Sometimes I usually cut them in half and then half again. This is cut, I think, like a pizza. I think I got 8 pieces out of 1 sponge. I don't use the sponges very often, but for something like this, I like to have a few on hand. Now, this piece back here is supposed to be soft seafoam cardstock. However, I didn't have that on hand. So what I did was I took the ink and I made my own. So that's what we're doing here. I'm just going to take some of that ink, and I'm just going to swirl it onto this Whisper White until I have a soft seafoam piece of cardstock. Now, it's not exact, but I really like the soft texture that I get, and we're going to be embossing this with one of the Thinlits anyway. So it's going to have a lot of fun texture on it when we're done. That is pretty good. So we're done with this now. It comes out a lot darker than it looks on the label. It's pretty close, but especially when you sponge it yourself, it's a little darker. Now that we have that sponged, I'm ready to get the Big Shot out. All right, here's our Big Shot. I have my magnetic platform along with one cutting plate. I'm gonna put my items down. Get my Thinlits out. All right, now we're gonna bring in that shaded spruce, and we're going to cut out 2 of these and 1 of these. Now we're gonna put these both in at the same time because we want the outline of that palm. And again, this piece isn't quite big enough. However, I am not gonna be showing the whole thing. So as long as I get most of one side, I am okay with that. Okay, before we put the Big Shot away, we're going to do one more thing, and we're going to emboss with a Thinlit. Now, I don't have the amazing new tool that lets you emboss with any Thinlit or Framelit on your Big Shot, so I'm improvising. Now, it doesn't do as good of a job, but it's kind of still there, and the technique is kind of the same. So what I'm gonna do is show you what I'm doing to get that same effect without that tool. So I have my Big Shot platform here. I'm not going to use the thin die adapter. I'm putting one cutting plate down, and then I've cut a piece of our cardboard that comes in our DSP, or this one specifically came when I got my new color assorted inks. So it's not super thick, but you can see that it's got a little bit of weight to it. So what I'm going to do is lay that down on top of my first cutting plate. I'm going to get my 3.5 inch square of that seafoam green, and I'm using this square die right here. With the cut side down, you can offset it and make it so that you can get the whole square by doing it a section at a time. But I am only really going to see this side, so I'm just going to do a little bit off to the side here. Okay, now we're going to put our other cutting plate on top, and you don't want to put so much in there that it's going to cut it apart. You just want enough pressure so that it barely, and I don't know if I can get it to show up in the light, but you can kind of see those lines on there, just barely embosses it. Now again, if you use the tool that Stampin' Up! Has, and I'll put the name of it on the screen here for you, but if you use their tool, it will be gorgeous and it will really emboss well. This method just kind of gives you a little bit of that texture, but it's not the same result. I just wanted to give a little bit more texture to this piece, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Look out now. Okay, so I want to show you guys something that I just discovered the other day when I was getting all these out and playing around with them. And I just got a brand new one, and I think it was from the holiday catalog, actually, from my pre-order. And I opened the package and I was blown away because I really didn't know that that is how it's supposed to work. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me get all these pieces back in here, and then I'm going to close this thing up and show you guys what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to slide these back in like normal, And I keep this that says what the name of it is. Usually it's this way, but I had it the other way for some reason. I'm gonna put that behind here, put that in. Okay, so I always have tucked my flap all the way in here, or this isn't in all the way, there we go, or into this semicircle right here, right? And then when I do that, sometimes it gets stuck on the dies in there, or it like squishes up when I try and move it around. Well, I just learned that the way you're actually supposed to close it is through here. So I'm gonna go in the line and out the half circle, and there it is. I was today years old when I learned that. Oh my gosh, you guys. How many of you guys knew that that's how you were supposed to close these? And how many of you are blown away by that like me? I just thought that was kind of funny. So here are the pieces that we cut out. I'll bring in our sample card again so we have something to follow along with. And here we go. So step one, we are going to fold our card base in half and use our bone folder to give that a crease. We're going to take this gorgeous DSP and glue it flat with some snail. And it's going to go off to the left with the same amount of space on the left, top, and bottom of the card. Now we're going to use our piece that we lightly embossed, and I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back and pop that up. And I'm going to put that kind of right in the middle so that there's approximately the same amount of pink on this side as there is on that side. Now we can start building our tropical scene. So I'm going to separate all these pieces out. And this piece wasn't used on this card, but I think I might use it in this one. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to use my snail to kind of tack things down a little bit. So I want this one to angle here. And I want this one to angle out this way. And I'm going to extend this a little bit farther than on this one. I want it to kind of come off that edge of this green piece here. So now we're going to put this guy down. And like I said, it doesn't matter that he is a little broken because we're just going to cover him up with our sentiment anyway. So I'm going to put him like that so that we get most of this right here. Now I'm going to use this and we'll put him out this way. And then the darker piece, his almost twin brother, is going to go down here. Okay, now our ferns, or our palms, I guess. I call these the palms. So he's gonna go there. And this one is going to go down here. So it's almost symmetrical, but not quite. I'm gonna put this guy over here. And then I'm gonna put this one over here. Now we can bring in our little sentiment here just to kind of see where we're at. So it's gonna go probably about here. So to cover this part, I'm going to use my flowers to cover that part. So a little bit more glue there. I'm gonna do one here. And put the other one over here. And then that way we'll be able to put this right about there. So we're gonna pop this up. Now I just want it to be popped up on the left side, and then because the way that I've layered everything, it's a lot thicker in the middle, and this is already popped up, so it's higher than this side. So I'm just gonna put one dimensional on the left side of this piece. And then I'm going to run a little bit of snail along the rest of it. Okay. Now we're going to bring in our embellishment. So I have here the beautiful tropical elements, and it comes with these fun little leaves and these little button flowers. We're going to use one of the button flowers, and of course some linen thread. And we're going to just thread this through the button and then tie a bow. And we're going to use our glue dot to stick him down. And we're also going to use our awesome Take Your Pick tool. So scoop that up. And we'll place him right up here. And there we are, creators. There is card number 1 in our 6 project series using the Tropical Escape Suite products from the brand new annual catalog. I hope you enjoyed this project today. If you did, be sure to give the video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that bell icon so you can be notified of future uploads, because believe me, you don't want to miss what's coming up in the next few weeks. And you can follow me on the web, melissascreations.com, and on Facebook at facebook.com/mcreations. You can also follow me on all of my social media, which is Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest with the handle @mcreations.